In this session, we will take a look at calculating average by the assumed average method. So what is this assumed average method? It's a method that will utilize deviations to calculate average. We will see shortly what deviations are. But assumed average method is basically useful when the values for which average has to be calculated are slightly higher and they are not spread over a very large range. So let us look at an example. Uh, Calculate the average of the following numbers: 121, 124, 125, 128, 130, 132, 138, 139. Now you see these values are fairly large and the spread of these values is small. So you see the smallest number is 121 and the largest number here is 139. So the first thing that we will do is assume an average. So in our case, we've assumed 130 to be an average. This 130 could be any random value which lies between the smallest value, that is 121, and the largest value, that is 139. So is it necessary that 130 is one of these numbers? Well, no. 130 could be any number which is not one of the given numbers. So I could have very well assumed 129 as my average, which is not given as one of the numbers. In my case, I thought it is simple to assume 130 because it will be easier to calculate deviations by assuming the average to be 130. So let us see what is deviation. Deviation is nothing but the difference of actual value and assumed average. So actual values in this case are 121, 124, 125 and so on. And assumed average, we've already assumed the average to be 130. So let us calculate the deviations now. The first deviation, 121 minus 130, gives us minus 9. Second deviation, that is 124 minus 130, gives us minus 6. 125 minus 130 gives us minus 5. 128 minus 130 gives you minus 2. 130 minus 130 gives us a 0. So 132 minus 130 gives us a plus 2, positive 2. 138 minus 130 is 8 and 139 minus 130 is 9. So you see we have already calculated all the deviations. Now once these deviations are calculated, what we need to do is calculate again the sum of deviations. So sum of deviations is minus 9 plus minus 6 plus minus 5 plus minus 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 8 plus 9, and if you add them all up you will get minus 3 as your answer. So sum of deviations in our case is minus 3. So how do you calculate the average with the help of sum of deviations? Average is equal to the assumed average plus the sum of deviations divided by the number of items. So what is our assumed average? Assumed average is 130 plus the sum of deviations minus 3 divided by 8. If you add this, you will get 129.625 as our average. So you saw we need not add up the large numbers 121, 124, 125. We easily calculated by the sum of deviations which are relatively small numbers. So this is the advantage of the assumed average method. So when we have to calculate the sum is of relatively small numbers. Let us see another example by using assumed average method. Calculate the average of the following numbers: 221, 224, 225, 228, 230, 232, 238, 239, 224 and 225. Again, we assume the average to be 230 in this case. So 230 lies between the numbers 221 and 239. So we calculate the deviations, which is again nothing but the difference of actual value and the average, which is the assumed average basically. So 224 minus 230 gives you minus 6. 225 minus 230 gives us minus 5. 228 minus 230 gives you a minus 2. 230 minus 230 gives you 0. 232 minus 230 gives you 2. 238 minus 230 gives us an 8. 239 minus 230 gives us a 9. So we have calculated all the deviations. The next step is calculation of the sum of deviations. And if you add up all the sum of divisions, you will get 3 as the total sum of divisions. Average is equal to the assumed average plus the sum of deviations divided by number of items. So average is equal to the assumed average 230 plus the sum of deviations, that is minus 3, divided by the number of items, that is 8. And on calculating this, we will get 229.675 as our answer. So with this, we come to an end of our second session on average. We learned how to calculate average by the assumed average method in this session. If you have any feedback or any query, please feel free to mail us at or write us at studentservices@pfindia.com. Thank you.